I'll never forget the smug look on her face as she stood in front of the execs, presenting my work like it was hers. For years, she'd been stealing my ideas, my late nights, my blood, sweat, and tears, and I'd had enough. This time, I wasn't just going to take it, I was going to make sure she'd never steal from me again. If you've ever been betrayed by someone who took a credit for your hard work, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss how this story unfolds. Trust me, this one's a roller coaster. My name's Alex, and I'm not the kind of person who holds grudges. At least, I didn't think I was. Growing up, I was the kid who'd let things slide, share my toys, forgive the playground bullies, move on. My mom used to say I had a heart too big for my own good, but there's only so much you can take before something inside you snaps. And for me, that snap came in the form of Jessica Harper. Let me paint you a picture of where this all started. I work at a mid-sized tech firm, the kind of place where everyone's scrambling to climb the corporate ladder, but it's dressed up as team spirit. I'm a data analyst in the marketing department, which sounds glamorous but really means endless spreadsheets, late-night number crunching, and presentations that make or break your reputation. I love my job, don't get me wrong. There's something satisfying about taking raw data and turning it into a story that gets the execs nodding in approval. It's like solving a puzzle no one else can see. But Jessica, she saw the puzzle, and she wanted the glory without the work. I still remember the first time I met her. It was 3 years ago, my second week on the job. I was 26, fresh out of grad school, eager to prove myself. The office was buzzing with the chaos of a new product launch, and I was buried in a data set trying to make sense of customer trends. Jessica walked in, tall, polished, with this megawatt smile that made everyone turn. She was a senior coordinator, a step above me, and she had this way of commanding a room without saying much. "Alex, right?" she said, leaning over my desk. "Heard you're the new data whiz. Can't wait to see what you bring to the table." Her voice was warm, but there was this glint in her eye, like she was sizing me up. I brushed it off. I mean, who wouldn't? She was charming, confident, the kind of person you wanted to impress. Flashback to my first big project. I'd spent weeks on it. Late nights, energy drinks, the works. I was tasked with analyzing user engagement for our new app, and I'd gone all in. Custom algorithms, cross-reference data sets, even a sleek PowerPoint to tie it all together. I was proud of it. It wasn't just numbers, it was a story about what our customers wanted. The day before the presentation, Jessica popped by my desk. "Hey Alex, mind if I take a look at your deck? I can polish it up, make it shine for the execs." I hesitated, but she waved it off. "Don't worry, I'll loop you in. Team effort there, right?" I nodded, thinking she'd add a few fonts or animations. Rookie mistake. The next day I sat in the conference room expecting to present. Instead, Jessica stood up, clicked through my slides, and delivered the whole thing like she'd written every word. The execs loved it. They clapped. They called it brilliant. And Jessica, she just smiled and said, "Thank you. I worked hard on this." My name wasn't mentioned once. I felt my stomach twist, but I told myself it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she forgot to give me credit. Maybe she'd fix it later. Spoiler, she didn't. That was the first time, but it wasn't the last. Over the next 2 years, it became her pattern. I'd do the heavy lifting, research, analysis, design, and she'd swoop in at the last minute, add a bullet point or a shiny graph, and take the credit. It wasn't just me either. Other coworkers whispered about it in the break room. "That's just Jessica," they'd say, rolling their eyes. "She's untouchable. Her uncle's on the board." Untouchable. That word stuck with me. It was like a challenge, daring me to do something about it. But I didn't. Not yet. By year 3, I was exhausted, not just from the work, though there was plenty of that, but from the constant feeling of being erased. Every time Jessica took credit, it chipped away at me. I started doubting myself. Was I not good enough? Was I invisible? I'd lie awake at night replaying those meetings where she'd smile and accept praise for my work. I'd imagine confronting her, saying, "Jessica, why do you do this? Why can't you just let me have this one?" But I never did. Confrontation wasn't my thing. I'd been raised to keep the peace, to work hard and trust the universe would sort it out. But the universe wasn't sorting anything. The breaking point came last spring. We were tasked with a massive project, a quarterly report for the C-suite, the kind of thing that could get you noticed for a promotion. I poured everything into it. I'm talking 60-hour weeks, skipping dinners with friends, ignoring my mom's calls because I was too deep in pivot tables. I analyzed customer retention, market trends, competitor data, you name it. I even built a predictive model that showed where we could cut costs without losing users. It was my best work yet. I sent the draft to my manager, Tom, and copied Jessica since she was coordinating the presentation. She replied within minutes. Wow, Alex, this is solid. Mind if I tweak the summary slide? I'll make it pop for the execs. There it was again, that phrase, tweak the summary slide. I should have said no, but I was tired, and part of me thought, what's the harm? So I said, sure, go for it. Big mistake. The day of the presentation, I walked into the conference room expecting to at least get a nod for my work. Instead, Jessica stood up, her name plastered across the title slide. She'd added 3 bullet points to the summary, 3 measly bullet points, and sent the whole thing to the execs from her email. When the department head, Karen, praised the report, Jessica beamed. Thank you, I really dug into the data this time. I felt my face burn. I wanted to stand up and scream, that's my work, I did that. But I didn't. I sat there silent as the room clapped for her. After the meeting, I cornered Tom in the hallway. Why didn't you say anything? I asked, my voice shaking. He sighed, looking uncomfortable. Alex, you're a rock star, but Jessica's got seniority. She's good at presenting. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll pay off. Pay off? I'd heard that before, and it was starting to sound like a lie. That night, I went home and cried. Not just a few tears, I'm talking ugly, snotty sobbing into my couch cushions. I felt like a failure, like all my hard work was invisible. I thought about quitting, but I loved my job, and I wasn't about to let Jessica run me out. That's when it hit me. I couldn't keep playing nice. If Jessica wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. I started thinking about every time she'd stolen my work, every smirk, every thank you she'd taken that wasn't hers. And I decided it was time to turn the tables. To understand why this meant so much to me, you need to know a bit about where I come from. Growing up, my family didn't have much. My mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, and my dad was out of the picture by the time I was 6. I learned early on that if you wanted something, you had to work for it. I was the kid who stayed up late studying, who got scholarships to college, who clawed my way into this job. Every project I turned in wasn't just work, it was proof I belonged. I remembered a moment from high school that felt eerily similar. There was this group project in my AP stats class, and I'd done all the research while my partner, Mike, slacked off. When we presented, he took the lead and got all the praise. I was furious, but my teacher pulled me aside after class. Alex, she said, you're the one who did the work. You know your worth. Don't let someone else's ego dim your light. That stuck with me. And now, years later, I realized I needed to take that advice to heart. I started watching Jessica more closely. She wasn't just lazy, she was strategic. She'd wait until the last minute, when everyone was too busy to notice, and then swoop in. She knew how to charm the execs, how to make herself look indispensable. But she had a weakness. She didn't understand the data. She could present it, sure, but if anyone asked her a follow-up question, she'd deflect or change the subject. That was my opening. The next big project came up in the fall, a market analysis for a new product launch. This was the kind of assignment that could make or break a career. The stakes were high, and I knew Jessica would try to pull her usual stunt. But this time, I was ready. I started by doing what I always did, diving into the data. I spent weeks building a comprehensive report, customer demographics, buying patterns, competitor benchmarks. But here's where I got clever. I created 2 versions of the report. The first was the real one, bulletproof, ready to impress. The second, a decoy. It looked solid on the surface, clean charts, fancy slides, but the data was subtly flawed. I'm not talking obvious mistakes. I'm talking tiny inconsistencies that only someone who really knew the numbers would catch. A mislabeled axis here, An outdated source there, a projection that didn't quite add up. Nothing that would scream sabotage, but enough to unravel under scrutiny. I sent the decoy draft to Jessica, along with an email that played to her ego. Hey Jessica, I wrote, I'm swamped and running behind on this one. The report's almost done, but it needs your magic touch. Can you take it over the finish line? I trust you to make it shine. I hit send and waited. Sure enough, she replied within an hour. No problem, Alex. I've got this. I'll polish it up and present it at the all hands. I could practically hear her smirking through the screen. I stepped back completely. I didn't touch the report again, didn't ask for updates, didn't even attend the team check-ins. I wanted her to feel like she owned it. Meanwhile, I kept the real report locked away on my laptop, ready to pull out if needed. My coworkers noticed something was up. Alex, you're not presenting this time? My friend Sarah asked one day at lunch. I just shrugged. Jessica's got it covered, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Sarah raised an eyebrow but didn't push. She knew something was brewing. The day of the all-hands meeting arrived, and I took a seat in the back of the conference room. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face calm, like I was just another employee there to listen. Jessica walked in, all confidence, her heels clicking against the floor. She set up her laptop, flashed that megawatt smile, and launched into the presentation. The slides looked great. My slides, with her name slapped on the title page. She talked through the data like she'd spent weeks on it, throwing in buzzwords like synergy and actionable insights. The execs were nodding, impressed. For a moment, I wondered if I'd miscalculated. Maybe she'd skate through this too. Then it happened. Karen, the department head, raised her hand. Jessica, can you walk us through the projection on slide 12? The numbers seem optimistic. The room went quiet. Jessica froze for a split second, but she recovered quickly. Sure, she said, flipping back to the slide. This projection is based on the latest market trends. She started rambling, tossing out vague phrases, but Karen wasn't having it. Which data set did you use for this? Karen pressed, her tone sharp. Jessica's smile faltered. It's in the source files, she said, clicking through the slides like she was looking for an escape hatch. I could see the panic creeping into her eyes. She didn't know the data. She hadn't checked it. She'd just taken my draft and run with it. Karen opened her laptop and pulled up the source data, the real data, the stuff I'd made sure was accessible to the team. She frowned. This doesn't match. The growth rate here is off by 15%. Can you explain that? The room was dead silent now. Jessica's face turned red and she started stammering. I must have pulled from an earlier data set. Let me circle back and double check. Circle back. That was her go-to move when she was cornered. Karen didn't let it go. This is a critical report, Jessica. We can't afford errors like this. Who worked on this with you? My heart skipped a beat. This was it, the moment I'd been waiting for. Jessica's eyes darted around the room, and for a second, I thought she'd try to throw me under the bus. But she didn't. She just mumbled, I led the effort. I'll fix it. Karen shook her head. We'll need to revisit this. Meeting adjourned. The room emptied out, but the whispers lingered. Jessica packed up her laptop and left without making eye contact with anyone. I stayed behind, pretending to check my notes, but inside I was screaming with victory. She'd taken the bait, and it had blown up in her face. Later that week, Tom called me into his office. Alex, he said, we need you to step in and fix the report. Quietly. Can you handle it? I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. Of course, I said. I went back to my desk, pulled out the real report, the one I'd kept hidden, and had it cleaned up in a day. When I sent it to Tom, he didn't ask questions. He just said, good work, let's keep this between us. I knew what he meant. Don't rub it in Jessica's face. And I didn't need to. The damage was done. Jessica never took credit for my work again. She still works in the department, but she's quieter now, less flashy. She avoids eye contact with me in the hallways, and when she presents, she sticks to her own work. I heard through the grapevine that Karen gave her a formal warning about due diligence. No one talks about the all-hands disaster outright, but everyone knows. And that's enough for me. Looking back, I don't feel proud of setting her up. Not exactly. Revenge doesn't feel as clean as you think it will. There's a part of me that wonders if I could have handled it differently, maybe confronted her directly or gone to HR. But then I remember all those nights I spent doubting myself, all those times I watched her steal what was mine. I didn't just do it for me, I did it for everyone she'd stepped on, everyone she'd made it feel small. And yeah, I did it to prove something to myself. I'm not invisible. My work matters. If you're out there grinding away, feeling like your efforts are being overlooked, let me tell you something. You're not alone. Your worth isn't defined by who gets the applause. It's defined by what you put into the world. And sometimes, just sometimes, you've got to play a little chess to make sure the right people see it. So what do you think? Was I too harsh, or did Jessica get what she deserved? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you love this story, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss another tale of justice served. Thanks for sticking with me. This one felt personal. See you in the next one.